A woman smiles because she believes your story is over. She looks at the empty space where you once stood and whispers to herself, "It's mine now." She believes that what she gained can never be taken away. She believes that doors once closed behind you will never open again. She believes silence means defeat. Delay means rejection. Waiting means abandonment. But this story was never about who reached the room first. It was always about who heaven had chosen to remain when every illusion disappeared. Listen carefully, because this message is not about revenge. It is about reversal. Not the kind of reversal people create with manipulation, power, or influence. The kind that arrives quietly, changing everything when no one expects it. There are moments in life when it appears someone else has stepped into your place. Maybe they received the promotion you worked for. Maybe they gained the attention you once had. Maybe they entered the relationship you thought belonged to your future. Maybe they celebrated while you questioned every prayer you had ever whispered. From the outside, it looked like they had won. From the inside, it felt like you had lost everything. But appearances have always been poor judges of destiny. History is filled with moments where the first celebration became the final disappointment. The loudest victory became the shortest. The strongest confidence became the greatest surprise. Because timing is something no human being controls forever. Imagine standing in a valley where every echo tells you that you were forgotten. You call. Nothing answers. You pray. Nothing changes. You wait. Nothing moves. Until one ordinary day becomes the day everything begins turning around. Not because people suddenly became kind. Not because circumstances suddenly became easy. But because the season itself changed. A farmer cannot force harvest during winter. A tree cannot rush spring. Neither can destiny be forced before its appointed time. The woman who believes she replaced you sees only today's picture. She cannot see tomorrow's chapter. She celebrates the middle of the story as though it were the ending. That has always been the danger of temporary victories. They convince people that temporary is permanent. But temporary has never frightened heaven. Sometimes what looks like removal is protection. Sometimes what feels like rejection is preparation. Sometimes what appears to be replacement is simply relocation. While others are celebrating what they borrowed. You are quietly being prepared for what belongs to you. Think about that. Borrowed success always requires constant fear. Real purpose never does. Someone protecting stolen ground never truly rests. They keep looking over their shoulder. They keep wondering when everything will change. Because deep inside they know. If something was never truly theirs, they cannot guarantee it will remain. Meanwhile, you are being transformed where nobody is watching. Character is forming. Patience is growing. Strength is replacing fear. Wisdom is replacing emotion. Discernment is replacing desperation. The greatest transformations rarely happen on a stage. They happen in hidden places. Places where applause cannot distract growth. The world notices sudden success. It almost never notices silent preparation. Yet silent preparation has built every lasting victory history remembers. So today, if your heart feels overlooked, if your prayers seem unanswered, if someone else appears to be living the life you imagined, do not mistake delay for defeat. Some doors stay closed because something greater is still being built beyond them. Some endings arrive only to protect beginnings you cannot yet recognize. And sometimes, the greatest reversal begins the exact moment you stop chasing what was never meant to be forced. Because destiny does not need panic to arrive. It needs readiness. The question has never been whether another person believes they replaced you. The question is whether you are willing to become the person capable of carrying what is truly meant for your life when the season finally changes. Many people quit one step before the landscape changes. They leave the field moments before sunrise. They surrender while the first light is already touching the horizon. Don't become one of them. Stay faithful to growth. Stay committed to integrity. Stay anchored in hope. Because the story is not finished simply because someone else thinks it is. The loudest celebrations often happen before the biggest surprises. And history has a remarkable way of reminding everyone that the final chapter belongs not to the one who celebrated first, but to the one who endured long enough to see the ending. There is something almost invisible about the way great reversals begin. They do not announce themselves. They do not send invitations. They rarely arrive with noise. Instead, they begin with tiny changes that most people overlook. A new opportunity appears where there was once only disappointment. A conversation happens that nobody planned. A closed heart suddenly softens. A forgotten name is unexpectedly remembered. What looked like coincidence slowly reveals itself as a chain of moments leading toward a completely different future. This is why people who judge only by appearances are often the most shocked when everything changes. They believed the story had already been written. They never imagined another chapter existed. The woman who thought she had taken your place has become comfortable. Comfort has convinced her that nothing can change. She believes the position she holds today guarantees tomorrow. But history has never worked that way. Many people have stood confidently on temporary foundations, believing they would never move. Then one unexpected season arrived, and everything shifted beneath their feet. Not because someone fought against them. Not because someone plotted revenge. But because time revealed what was always temporary. That is one of life's greatest mysteries. Time exposes everything. It exposes false loyalty. It exposes hidden motives. It exposes borrowed success. It exposes genuine character. Eventually, every mask becomes too heavy to wear. Every performance becomes exhausting. Every illusion reaches its expiration date. While others spend their energy maintaining appearances, you have been building something they cannot see. Resilience. Wisdom. Peace. Discernment. These are treasures that cannot be borrowed. They cannot be stolen. They cannot be imitated for long. Someone may imitate confidence. Few can imitate genuine peace. Someone may imitate success. Few can imitate quiet strength. Someone may imitate happiness. Few can imitate deep purpose. Purpose carries a different weight. It remains steady when applause disappears. It survives criticism. It survives loneliness. It survives misunderstanding. That is why your hidden season has not been wasted. Every unanswered question has been teaching endurance. Every disappointment has been sharpening your judgment. Every delay has been removing the parts of you that would have collapsed under the pressure of future responsibilities. Imagine receiving everything you once wanted before you were emotionally prepared. Would you have protected it? Would you have appreciated it? Would you have survived the responsibility that came with it? Sometimes the greatest gift is not immediate success. Sometimes the greatest gift is becoming the kind of person who can sustain success without losing yourself. That transformation cannot be rushed. It requires moments nobody applauds. Moments when choosing integrity costs more than compromise. Moments when kindness receives no recognition. Moments when hope feels unreasonable. Those moments shape destinies far more than public victories ever could. The interesting thing about people who think they replaced you is that they often spend more time watching you than building themselves. They keep wondering why you remain peaceful. Why you refuse bitterness. Why you continue moving forward. Why disappointment did not destroy your spirit. They expected you to become smaller. Instead, you became stronger. That is the part they never predicted. Strength born through hardship cannot be manufactured overnight. It is earned. Every difficult day added another layer. Every painful lesson added another foundation. Every lonely season added another measure of wisdom. Without realizing it, what was designed to discourage you became the very thing preparing you for a greater future. Think about an arrow. Before it moves forward, it must first be pulled backward. To someone watching from a distance, it appears to be moving in the wrong direction. Only the one holding the bow understands what is about to happen. Life often feels exactly like that. There are seasons when everything appears to move backward. Dreams seem farther away. Opportunities disappear. Relationships change. Plans collapse. Yet sometimes that backward movement is not failure. It is preparation for extraordinary momentum. Never judge your future by your current position alone. Momentum changes quickly. Direction matters more than appearance. Many people standing in front today are quietly moving backward. Many people standing behind today are steadily moving forward. The difference is invisible until enough time passes. One day, people who underestimated your journey will ask how everything changed so suddenly. They will call it luck. They will call it coincidence. They will say you were fortunate. They will never fully understand the years of quiet endurance hidden beneath that moment. They will see the harvest. They will not remember the countless mornings you watered seeds nobody else believed would grow. That is the nature of transformation. Most people notice the fruit. Very few appreciate the roots. So keep strengthening your roots. Keep choosing honesty when shortcuts appear. Keep choosing patience when frustration whispers louder. Keep choosing compassion instead of resentment. Every decision is shaping the person you are becoming. And becoming has always been more important than appearing. The woman who believed she had your place may continue celebrating today. Let her celebrate. Temporary confidence often disappears the moment reality changes. You do not need to compete with appearances. You only need to remain faithful to your own journey. Because when the seasons finally shift, people will not remember who celebrated first. They will remember who remained standing after every illusion disappeared. And sometimes the greatest reversal is not taking back what you thought you lost. Sometimes it is discovering that what awaits you is far greater than anything you once believed had been taken away. There comes a moment when silence stops feeling like punishment and starts revealing itself as preparation. Most people never recognize that moment. They become so focused on what they lost that they fail to notice what they are becoming. That is exactly where the greatest reversals are born. Not in the spotlight. Not in front of cheering crowds. But in ordinary days that look completely forgettable. While someone else believes they are writing the final chapter of your story, another chapter is already unfolding beyond their sight. They cannot see it. They cannot control it. They cannot stop it. Because some changes begin long before anyone can recognize them. Picture an old bridge standing over a river. From a distance it looks strong. People continue crossing it every day. No one suspects that deep beneath the surface, the foundation has been weakening for years. Then one day, without warning, the bridge gives way. People call it sudden. It was never sudden. The process simply remained invisible. The same is true for lasting change. What appears overnight has often been developing in secret for a very long time. That is why you should never envy someone's visible moment. You rarely know the invisible story behind it. The woman who believes she took your place is looking only at appearances. She measures success by what can be seen. Recognition. Attention. Position. Influence. But appearances have a strange habit of changing with the seasons. Character does not. When the winds become stronger, appearances are the first thing to disappear. Character is what remains. Ask yourself this question. If everything around you changed tomorrow, would you still know who you are? That question matters more than any title. More than any relationship. More than any opportunity. Because identity built only on circumstances will always collapse when circumstances change. Identity built on truth survives every storm. Perhaps this season has been teaching you exactly that. Perhaps every delay has been removing the need for constant approval. Perhaps every closed door has been teaching you to stop measuring your worth by other people's decisions. Perhaps every disappointment has been leading you toward a confidence that cannot be shaken. That kind of confidence cannot be purchased. It is earned one difficult day at a time. Notice something remarkable. The strongest trees are not the ones that never faced storms. They are the ones whose roots kept growing while the winds kept blowing. Storms did not destroy them. Storms forced them to grow deeper. Your difficult season may have been doing exactly that. Not destroying you. Deepening you. Every tear became another lesson. Every setback became another foundation. Every unanswered question stretched your patience beyond what you believed possible. At the time, it felt unfair. Now imagine if those lessons had never happened. Would you possess the wisdom you carry today? Would you recognize unhealthy opportunities from healthy ones? Would you have learned when to speak and when to remain silent? Growth often disguises itself as inconvenience. Only later do we recognize it as preparation. There are people who can only recognize value after they lose it. Until that moment, they mistake consistency for something ordinary. They mistake loyalty for something guaranteed. They mistake kindness for weakness. Then one day everything changes. What they ignored becomes impossible to replace. What they overlooked becomes impossible to recreate. By then, understanding arrives too late. This is why you must never allow someone else's opinion to define your future. People often judge based on the chapter they happen to witness. They do not know the chapters that came before. They certainly do not know the chapters still waiting to be written. Keep your eyes on the road ahead. Not on the audience watching from the side. Audiences change quickly. Purpose does not. There will always be voices insisting your best days are behind you. There will always be people convinced your opportunity has already passed. Do not borrow their conclusions. They cannot see beyond the horizon you are walking toward. Every sunrise begins while most of the world is still surrounded by darkness. Just because someone cannot yet see the light does not mean the light has failed to arrive. Hope works the same way. It often appears first in the smallest forms. A new idea. A renewed sense of peace. An unexpected conversation. A quiet opportunity. Do not underestimate small beginnings. Entire futures have been built upon moments others considered insignificant. One decision can redirect an entire life. One act of courage can open a door that fear kept locked for years. One day of persistence can separate those who gave up from those who reached the finish line. That is why today matters. Not because everything changes today, but because today prepares you for the day when everything changes. Keep moving. Keep growing. Keep choosing integrity when shortcuts promise faster results. Keep choosing patience when frustration begs you to quit. Keep choosing hope even when evidence seems scarce. Because the greatest reversals are rarely announced in advance. They unfold step by step until everyone who doubted is forced to admit they completely misunderstood the story. And when that day arrives, your greatest victory will not be proving anyone wrong. It will be realizing that the person you became during the waiting season is worth far more than the place you thought you had lost.